What's up, Giants fans, Hub watchers, YouTube and Rumble subscribers, Twitter and Instagram followers? It's Kush back at it again with another New York Giants Just Chillin' podcast episode call-in show. I've been trying to figure out why my fonts look pixelated when I make them bigger, and I can't seem to figure out why. I've tried like about 3 different fonts now. I thought maybe it was just a font problem. I'm beginning to think it's a Streamlabs issue. Like, it's a Streamlabs problem because it's just everywhere at this point. But as the title says, we will be discussing the general manager candidates and finalists for the New York Giants. What we've been looking at, they do have 2 finalists that we know of already, Schoen and Ryan Poles. Joe had his second interview today with the Giants in person, and as you guys can see, he's the one that's on screen right now. Ryan Poles has his interview scheduled, I think it was tomorrow as well. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I see Sober Party, what's up, man? Harrison in here. Benny, what's up, Benny? Love to have you calling. It's been a minute, bro. Definitely want to hear your thoughts from the young gun. Benny, Yuvraj in here. Edward, the Get Back with Ashton, Mike B, Evans, Spitzberg, Super Taj World. Without further ado, y'all know how it is. I'm lagging a bit. A lot of bit. Wait, hold up. Okay. It must be a problem with StreamYard. Okay, I was just looking at the private chat. I'm going to bring Mike on, and then we got Nate right after. So what's up, Mike? As usual, the member in here. And for any members, Mike is like usually the only person in here, but all of y'all have, the link before the stream starts. But what's up, Mike? How you doing?
I'm doing good. Just
Your audio is coming through real chopped up, Mike. I'm not going to hold you. It's like coming through really chopped up and like glitchy.
all right. You know what? Let me hop on to my other phone.
Sure. For sure.
All right.
Yeah. While you do that, let me pop on Nate in the meanwhile. What up, Nate? How you doing?
What's up, Kush? Good to talk to you again.
Yeah, man. What's up, man? So you requested the link on Twitter. Did you have anything specific you want to talk about, or were you just super excited about the Giants for some reason that I can't understand? Why would anybody be super excited about the Giants?
Well, there's no reason to be excited about the Giants, but I do have a few things to talk about. But I wanna get at what you guys are trying to talk about for this stream first, because what I want to talk about is not related to the title of the stream. So
yeah, for sure.
Let's talk about what you got to talk about first, and then we can move on from there if we got time.
For sure. And then, hey, Benny says, what's up, Nate? How you doing? But yeah,
What's up,
let's
Benny?
go right ahead, man. I mean, we've already spoken quite a bit on this, but we have 2 finalists. I guess that would be really the only new news. We do have news that Sean met in person with them, and that Ryan Poles is scheduled to do that. I think it was either tomorrow or Thursday. So how you feel about that?
Well, truth be told, regarding the entire situation with GMs and head coaches, I think it's too damn good to be true. I love what we've been reading from these blue check marks, these sources on Twitter, but listen, 90% of all the best head coaching and general manager candidates on this market are apparently interested in the Giants. I don't buy that. Like, I'm sorry. I know being the Giants and having that New York market is appealing. It's a draw. I get that. But Brian Flores, Jim Harbaugh, Brian Dable, Shane, Joe Hortiz, and some others that I'm forgetting are apparently all interested in being members of the New York Giants. With our roster problems, the fact that we don't have a quarterback, and you can say Daniel Jones, but objectively to the rest of the league, we don't have a quarterback.
Yeah.
And the fact that John Mara is consistently known for meddling in affairs, I don't believe that every single one of these great candidates is interested in the Giants. We are not that lucky. And then the other thing is, I am very, very excited by the piece of news we did hear about Joe Schoen. We already knew he was interested in the Giants. The fact that apparently him and the Giants both really want to make that happen is very encouraging. And then more so, what apparently came out today is that the first thing, it might have come out yesterday, but really solidified today, the first thing Joe Schoen's going to look to do is bring Brian Dable right along with him wherever he goes, which is really important.
I saw that as well. You sent me that tweet online. I think it said like his first head coach, or like his first person on his head coach list, something along those lines, would be Brian Dable. And I mean, to be honest with you, after we saw what the Bills' offense did, we could all say that yeah, Brian Dable is a very, very
Man.
attractive guy in the position right now.
I just want to say about that game with Josh Allen, you can say it's Allen, you can say it's Dable, whatever you want to say. That Bills offense in general, first off, it must have been the most cathartic win any Bills fan can remember. But second off, does anyone feel like that was deeply wrong? The first time that has ever happened in any NFL game, playoff or otherwise, and it happened against a Bill Belichick defense. I have no love for the Patriots. I have no love for Bill Belichick. But it feels like super wrong. I don't know why.
Who is the current Patriots DC? We know Belichick has control.
I
but, like,
am not sure.
Yeah, right. Like, hold up.
Let me check that for you.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay, Nate. I didn't think they would be able to, but they're hearing the echo on your end when I speak.
Oh, is that so? Let me see what I can do about that then. 1 second.
What up, Harrison? I see you in there. He says, "Go Bucks." I remember from last year you were a Bucks fan, Harrison. Let's see. Hub, do you think the Bucks can beat the Rams Sunday? I definitely think it's gonna be an interesting matchup to say the least, bro. Listen, the Rams looking mighty good. You know, the Bucks are still a strong team. I'm not going to pick a certain team yet. I have no dog in that fight. My dog in the NFC right now is the 49ers, and in the AFC it's the Bengals, man. It's going to be an unlikely matchup, but I would love to see a 49ers versus Bengals Super Bowl. Like, you know, just putting that out there.
And quick question, is that any better?
Well, chat will have to respond. I still hear you a little bit, but it's all about if they hear you. And I'm turning my gain up on my mic sober party. So if that's better, let me know.
I am just trying to make sure that when you're talking, I'm not having StreamYard output.
Yeah. So they're saying
right.
it's good.
Yep, they're saying it's good.
The reason I turned down the gain on my mic sober party is because I noticed even when I'm not speaking, it's picking up sound. So that was weird. So just let me know if when I'm not speaking, you guys are hearing anything. I'll have to do some adjustments.
Excellent. Okay, well, yeah, with that, I mean, in terms of who we want to win the Super Bowl, win these playoff games, whatever, the one thing I can say, because now that the Eagles and Cowboys and Patriots are out, I have no dog in this fight. But the one thing I can say is I am rooting for Matt Stafford, man. I don't know how you can't be rooting for this guy. He is the feel-good player in these matchups to me.
Matt Stafford, I mean, me and KB, I feel like, have been pretty vocal Matt Stafford fans. At the beginning of the season, we were talking about him on Young Guns. He has a lot to prove, I guess, because there's a lot of people that say or that used his playoff losses against him. I feel like he's been a top 10 quarterback almost every single year of his career, if not every year of his career. And I mean, there's only so much you can do while playing for Detroit. And even in Detroit, he did have a couple years where he had success, yes. You know what I'm saying? I think it was 1 or 2 years Detroit went to the playoffs with Caldwell at the helm. Can't remember if it was 1 or 2. Either way, he was going up against who? Aaron Rodgers, bro? Like, Aaron Rodgers in his prime?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not saying Matt Stafford is elite, but what I am saying is that he's been a really, really good quarterback his entire career, and he has a chance now. And obviously, people are going to use the fact that the Rams are kind of a super team, which is not wrong, but it doesn't take away from him being a really, really good quarterback that could take them over the hump. I mean, that's the whole reason they traded for him in the first place.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely agree with a lot of that. I think Matt Stafford has had his problems, clearly, but getting away from the Lions was the best thing he could have possibly done. And I am just really happy for him to see a guy that was wasting away for so many great years of a talented NFL career to be finding success in a place that is really in a better winning culture, I guess you could say, than the Lions. I'm just super excited for him. Mm-hmm. But with that Rams sort of their chances in the playoffs, it's going to be a lot of can they get it done against the best teams in the NFC and then whoever's coming out of the AFC. It's going to be interesting to watch.
And what will be your unlikely matchup for the Super Bowl? I listed mine earlier, right? Is there
unlikely matchup?
Yeah, unlikely, or I guess unpopular. I don't know what phrase to use. Like, because Bengals 49ers, I haven't heard it anywhere. You know what I mean? And shout out to Bird Gang in the chat. You guys need to go check him out. I know he's the enemy. As soon as I said that, I coughed. Excuse me. I know he's the enemy. I know he represents Philadelphia, but he's a great content creator, man. Guys, definitely go check him out.
Yeah, I mean, I have a tough time saying that there's anything less likely than Bengals 49ers, but I'm not going to try and copy you. So I guess if I'll say anything a little bit different, I guess, a different unlikely matchup, I'll say Rams and Titans is certainly less likely than a lot of other potential matchups. But yeah, the clear poster child for unlikely Super Bowl matchup is 49ers Bengals. A lot of these other teams are, I guess you could say, favorites ahead of them. But I think some of these other squads, they're also in jeopardy. Specifically, looking at the Bucks, man, a lot of people are overlooking the fact that Tristan Wirfs and Ryan Jensen are injured.
How
That's
long
so
is Tristan
huge.
Wirfs out for?
We do not know. It is unknown at this moment, as far as I've been made aware. And then Ryan Jensen, we're not sure what his status is either.
Okay, so guys, Nate, can I ask you just to spend 2 minutes to take over the stream? Because I figured out why my mic is giving issues.
I
For
can do
some
that for you.
for some reason, my noise gate resetted, so I just gotta quickly set this noise gate back up. And yeah, go ahead, man. You got it.
Have fun with that. I will. I'll talk to chat for a few minutes. I'll see what y'all think. While Kush is adjusting his microphone settings here, anybody that has questions or just wants to say something, I guess I'll shout out some people in chat. Harrison's in here. Got Yuvraj in here as always. Bird Gang. Good to see some cross rivalry support in chat. Benny's in here. And yeah, Benny, I'm sure Kush will try and get you in. Zonik is in here. Sorry for mispronouncing your name the first time. Sober Party as always. Bark Nasty, nice to see you, bro. He says, starting to sound like a Shane. I keep saying Shane. Shane Dable, GM head coach combo, and I'm crying tears of joy. And beat news is it keeps Flores away. Best news, I'm assuming he meant, is it keeps Flores away from my Giants. Hey, that is certainly a fair take. I have never been a huge Brian Flores to the Giants fan, but it wouldn't have been the worst thing. Steven Teixeira, great last name there. Big ups to Mark Teixeira. Says, you think we get rid of Galladay? No chance whatsoever.
All right,
I
I'm
mean,
back.
let me just finish
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah.
saying to someone in chat here. If you want to say whether we should or not, that's a different argument. But with his contract after one season, no, he's sticking around.
Okay, so it is fixed, and that means I could turn my gain back up. I was wondering why the mic was picking up so much sound. For those of you that don't know what a noise gate is, right? Shout out to Otto, he helped me set this up. It basically, it's like, imagine a dam. You know how a dam lets out a certain amount of water. The noise gate only lets out or takes in, the microphone takes in noise from
Right.
outside when it reaches a certain decibel. That's why, I could speak not that loud, and then the mic works. But it was off, which probably, I don't know if you guys were hearing it, but you probably could have heard a lot of background noise when I was typing on the keyboard. You probably could hear that. Nate hears that, but that's because I use my webcam mic. But that being said, let me pop in a couple of these callers here. Of course, Mike, what's up, bro? How you doing?
What's up? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Absolutely, Mike.
Way better,
All right.
loud and clear.
All right. Man, oh man. Just please let us get Shane and Dabo.
Hell
You're loving that combo, huh?
Yep. And I mean, so you want to talk about an unlikely Super Bowl match?
Sure.
Bengals and Rams.
Bengals and Rams?
Mm-hmm.
So he took half and half ours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which one did you say again? You said Rams and who, or Bengals and who? Who'd you say, Nate?
I said Rams. Who did I say? I think
Titans.
yeah, thank you, Rams and Titans, because I didn't want to take yours too.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Harrison, yeah, for sure, man. I'll try and get you. You're right up after Mike as well. I see you in the private chat, Harrison. But okay, let's talk about the
can we-
Titans for a second, bro.
All right.
Do the Titans beat the Bengals first of all this upcoming weekend? You guys think?
I think it'll be
I
a
had
hell
the
of a game.
Bengals
You got the Bengals. And
by
then,
at least 2 touchdowns.
because I don't know why I'm thinking along the same lines of Nate. Like, I think it's gonna be a great game. When I mean, the Titans are like the first seed in the AFC, and it's like they should be the favorites. But I'm just like, I'm looking at the Titans team, and I'm looking at the Bengals team. And I'm like, I could see this going either way, man.
I'm right with you there. I think that's been sort of the story of the playoffs. It should be on paper a certain way, but it has not gone that way. A lot of these playoff games should have been much better games than they were, and they ended up being complete blowouts.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody tweeted on. I'm not sure if it was you, Nate, or if I saw somebody else tweeting it. Something. Oh, I think it was Justin. Justin from Talking John. Shout out to Justin. He was saying how always matching up a 7 seed against a 2nd seed is not exactly asking for the best
Yeah.
football
Yeah, that's
imaginable.
facts.
But like you were saying, it wasn't exactly like the 7 seed was getting blown out by the 2nd seed. There was blowouts basically all over the place. I guess you could say, with exception to Bengals Raiders and maybe
Well-
Cowboys 49ers. But Cowboys 49ers up until the 4th quarter was a blowout.
Here's what I think about that. And a lot of people are talking about the 7th seed and how it's produced nothing but bad football, because the 7th seed in the 2 years it has been in this playoff format has not won a single game. No 7th seed has won a game in the NFL playoffs. But here's my thing. I get that the NFL loves its sweet money. I love that these teams are getting opportunities. I think it's interesting. It brings some more variation into the fold, whatever you want to say. I think the way they should do it instead is have a play-in, like some other formats have. I think instead of just giving one extra seed, maybe for that 6th seed for the wild card, let who would be the 6 and the 7 have a play-in for that wild card seed.
Like, you know who does the plan? The NBA has that plan.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, you mentioned the NFL and loving their money. I'm surprised they haven't seriously considered that, because that's just more football.
Well, I mean, the NFL is also run by morons, so you never know.
But on the flip side, because it is more football, though, that's like more of a chance for the teams that are in the playing teams, right? That's more of a chance for those guys to get injured.
Well, that's the entire reason that a lot of people were pissed off about adding a 17th game to the schedule. So, but I mean, the
Yep.
Players Union, when that happened, the Players Union was so split from what I saw, because it was halfway between, oh, we can get more money on our contracts, but also we will definitely have more injuries. Like, there's no way around it. There will be more injuries.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, what else you got? Anything Saquon related? I mean, is Saquon gonna be traded? What's
His
up?
favorite topic.
I don't want to talk about that.
I don't blame you.
What about Odell going on? Well, not necessarily going off, but graded as the
I mean-
highest wide receiver in the playoffs so far.
I love it. I love it. Odell's my boy. I mean, even though we just had to get rid of him because of the contract.
Yeah. I think. Sorry. I thought you were finished. Go ahead.
But he's my boy.
Yeah, I think a lot of fans are, and I know this is inevitable. This is just how sports fans are. A lot of fans are way too stuck in the past, man. It happened. It was years ago at this point. Let it go. Let's focus on the future. Odell and the Giants are so far removed from each other. It's mind-boggling to me that we're still on this. Like, none of the players involved, except for Dexter Lawrence, going into this coming season are likely to be on either of the two teams they were dealt to. And Dexter Lawrence was a draft pick. Like, I mean, Jabril's probably not going to be here. He came from Cleveland. Dexter's going to stay here, but he was a draft pick that we acquired from them. And then Odell's not with the Browns anymore. The repercussions of that trade are so far removed, and yet we're still talking about it. This topic has been beaten into the ground so much. I wish, and I know this will never happen because we're Giants fans, and this is just how the New York market is. I wish we could just get over it and move on, man.
Yeah.
Oh, and also, one thing, before we move on completely from this, and this is something that bothers the hell out of me. Poor Kadarius Toney, man. You cannot tell me that people, if the Odell stuff hadn't happened, that people would be as on him for this bullshit as they are. Like, that poor guy went to a Rams game and wore a Rams scarf, shocker there, and he's getting crap from Giants fans. That is just terrible.
I've been a defender of Kadarius Toney for basically as long as he's been a New York Giant, and I honestly
Because he's
feel like
needed defense.
yeah, Giants fans are ridiculous when it comes to this guy. They get on him for anything and everything. And hey, Kadarius, on the off chance you watching this, bro, us three up here, we got you. We got your back, man. All right.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Most of the people in the chat got your back as well. All right. I don't know why in the world some Giants fans, and it's not even some. Let me correct myself. It seems like a good amount. It really does seem like a good amount. I don't want to say majority because there's no real way to tell. But on social media, A lot of old heads, of course. Y'all know I got my beef to pick with the old heads sometimes.
Oh,
with
we
how
all
they-
do. We all do.
How they speak about things, the old people. But they got on this man
Hey,
for
don't
getting
be
injured.
ageist, Hub.
They got okay, boomer. They got on this man for being injured, which is not his fault. They got on this man for having the wrong shoe size or cleat size, which is not his fault. They got on this man for like anything and everything that was out of his control. They got on him for having a hobby that's actually a productive and lucrative hobby because he has the side rap career. And for anybody that thinks, oh, he's more interested in rapping and dropping albums or dropping singles than doing football, he'd be doing that instead of doing football. It's a lot more lucrative than doing
That
football.
is so stupid.
It
man.
is
Like,
so
hearing
you
that
can
is-
make so much more money. You don't even got to be a big rapper.
It
Just
bothers me hearing
doing
that.
music than
Yeah.
doing football because a lot of people don't realize this. You don't really make the most money from like releases and albums and billboards and stuff like that. You make the most
Sponsorship
money
deals.
that, but also touring and
Oh, well,
doing
that too, yeah.
live concerts with people. That makes more money than anything else. So if Kadarius was really, really, more invested in that, he'd just leave and go do that. And I saw somebody said because he released a single this season, that means that he was more interested in being a rapper in music than football. I'm just like, y'all just say the stupidest stuff sometimes because singles or any just type of music can be in the works for months at a time, almost up to a year. Like it takes long to make them. So it's not as if he was just making this. He was in the studio making this while he was injured or something, and taken away from the fact he was injured. Like he could go to the studio even on the off chance that he made this like recently, right? Like he could go into the studio, record it, be out, have his producer look at it, put his 2 cents in it, how he wants it to sound and feel like that. But once again, singles like they could take months up to a time to make. Like they just been getting on Kadarius Toney for anything and everything. And I really feel bad for the dude because his rookie year it just got over, and now they're getting on him for attending a Rams game. I'm just like, honestly, if the man wants to leave a year from now, I don't blame him. But like, I could see it going that direction.
Yeah.
Like just authentic. I see you in chat. I don't know
what
what
up,
you heard
Authentic?
about what we were talking about, but we were just talking about exactly what you were saying with the fact that we're still on this with Odell, the fact that years later after this trade, when all parties involved have moved on, the fact that we haven't as Giants fans is so sad. It's depressing. But yeah, Hub, the other thing is someone in chat, I want to get the name right. Hold up. Cressley, yeah. Cressley in chat said a similar thing to Ash Money, and he brought up how he was there to support Van Jefferson, who he was teammates with, and that's awesome. I love that he's doing that.
And
That's
shout out
great.
to Cresley. The reason Cresley knows that is because he's actually a Florida Gators fan. So I know that
that's
man's
great.
telling the truth.
But the fact that he's doing that is great, and I love that he's supporting a former teammate. But it doesn't matter if that's why he's there. He doesn't need a reason to go watch the Rams game. If you think that a Giants player needs a reason to go watch the Rams game, you're a moron. If you think that they need the fan base's permission to do anything, much less watch football, God forbid this guy actually wants to see a team not suck. God forbid. Like, come on, guys. He's going to a football game. What are we making drama about? I don't understand.
Anything to add, Mike?
No, pretty much Nate nailed it right on the coffin.
Right on the coffin, damn.
And I mean, Ash has said this as well, along with Diggy on Twitter, and I've spoken to them, offline about it. They're like, not just Giants fans, but football fans. Sometimes we see it the most, obviously, with our own fan base because we're involved with our fan base. But they have this weird sense of ownership over the players that they just need to take away. They need to separate the players from them actually being people. It feels so stupid that we have to say that because you think it'd be common sense that they do that, but they don't. And like
that's the
Kadarius
other
Toney
thing.
is one of the worst examples of that.
And that's the other thing. It amazes me what people will say from behind their keyboards, man. Like, I admit sometimes I'm guilty of this. Every once in a while, I'll look back on something I've said on Twitter or wherever and say, man, that was stupid. But the fact that some of these people will go out here and directly say stuff to Kadarius Toney and talk shit to this guy, it astounds me. Like, they think they're talking to a wall, man. This is a person. Like, he's out there just trying to support his teammate from college. He's out there trying to enjoy the Rams game, and you're fucking saying wild stuff to him on Twitter, blowing up his notifications. Like, dude, What is wrong with some of these people, man?
I know.
I guess I don't know if shifting off that topic, whatever the case
Yeah,
is.
sorry, I'm getting
Nah,
dangerously into rant territory.
not even. I mean, I ranted for a little bit. Feel free to rant if you got more to add. I listen. Like I said, this is a Kadarius Tony support group right here. We got
Oh
you,
yeah,
bro.
always.
All right.
We
Well,
got you.
Mike, anything else you want to talk about, bro?
That's pretty much all I got.
Mm.
But anyway, the Knicks are winning by 3 right now.
Weren't they down by like 10 for majority of the game?
Probably, yeah.
Because I remember memes about Randall serving up apple turnovers all over Twitter before I started the stream.
Guys, can we not apply that to basketball, please? Let's keep the turnover joke with famous Jameis Turnover Bakery, please.
I mean,
Yeah.
Keep it where it belongs.
like, listen, bro. It ain't me that's making the jokes. All right, they photoshopping this man Randall on waitresses and waiters and chefs, bro, for a minute now.
But anyway, I hope we get Shane and Dabble as our GM or coach. But I mean, I wanna if we have any other GMs, I at least want them to get a fair shot for a second interview.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
And
get that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I heard that the Giants were really impressed with Peter's resume and all.
I mean, to be honest, I said in my video today, because they're actually doing a legit GM search, and then on top of that, they're doing a really good legit GM search. They have a lot of good candidates, man. I've said I really like this candidate, or I love this candidate's resume a good amount of time. I want to say maybe 5 times, 4, 5, or 6 times. You know, I've said it with Poles, said it with Shane, said it with Horitz or Hordes from the for the Ravens. Said it with that guy Peters from the 49ers. I've even said it with I'm like, look out for Adrian Wilson from the Cardinals. He's a sleeper candidate, but we'll see. And I was kind of right about that, because the Vikings and Bears are also out to get Adrian Wilson. So there's definitely a little bit more to you know, his interview process, I guess, that he showed.
Yeah.
So Mike, hey man, thank you for calling in, bro. As usual,
Always
a pleasure,
it,
man.
bro.
Yeah, have a good one, man.
All right, peace.
Next up, we got Harrison, and then we got Benny. It's been a minute, Benny, so I'm definitely excited to talk to you, man. Harrison, what's up, bro? How you doing?
Oh, how are you?
I'm good, man.
Good to see you, bud. How are you?
Yeah. So what's up, bro? I know you feeling good with the Bucks. They trashed the Eagles.
Yeah, I'm sure happy about that. Listen, I do gotta go. However, great to the Mets. You heard it here first. Because he switched agents. He's going to Scott Boras.
You are talking to a very non-baseball fan here, my guy.
Oh, oops,
Kush is not involved in any of that stuff.
Listen, I support whatever my guy over here, Harrison, supports, all right? You got it, bro.
He's talking about Carlos Correa, a baseball player.
Okay. Well, hey, you could chop it up with Nate knows baseball. Nate is a Yankees fan, though, not a Mets fan, I'm pretty sure.
I am a Yankees fan, that is correct.
Harrison, you muted yourself, man.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Anyway, guys, I gotta go, but thanks for having me on, guys. It's been a while. Next show's Tuesday, right?
Yep, always Tuesday, man.
All right, I'll be there. Bye.
No problem, Harrison. Have a good one, and I'll definitely try and get you, if you're still in chat or something, definitely try and get you on earlier. I know you gotta go because you're a bit younger, so definitely try and get you on earlier next time, man. Benny, what's up, bro? How you doing?
Yo, what's good?
What's up?
How you doing, Benny?
Been a minute.
Yeah, nothing much. I'm enjoying the general manager search. I think we're
Yeah.
doing like a good job of it, honestly. You know, obviously we haven't been like proud of the management recently, but I think they've actually done like a really, really, really good job with the search right here. They've got a lot of different guys in, and I think I've looked a little bit just like who the good people like the Vikings and the Bears are like interviewing, and I think I like ours a lot more, in my opinion. So
You know, Benny, I'll say this. Maybe it's PTSD, maybe it's whatever you want to call it. Maybe I've been conditioned by this Giants ownership. I think this is going too well. I am waiting for the other shoe to drop on our souls.
What about? But Benny isn't talking about them being interested in us. He's just like, we're actually casting a good net, you know?
yeah, exactly.
No,
But like
and-
going to different. you
Yeah,
know. But
that
I'm worried about that though. Like all of a sudden we think we have our guy, and then like, actually, like I don't really want to go to the Giants. You know, you guys have been bad for a
yeah.
few years now.
I think that John Mara during this entire process has said all the right things. As far as we can tell, he's done all the right things, and that makes me nervous because he never says or does the right things. And I'm scared that in a couple of weeks he's going to announce, "All right, guys, we liked Joe Shane, we liked Joe Ortiz, we liked all these guys, but I've made the executive decision that Chris Mara will be the next general manager of the Giants." And
Did you
at
see the
that
West
point,
Steinberg? The
no,
West
no,
Yeah, I
Steinberg
saw
I know,
that. I saw
I know it was a
that.
joke, but that joke hit far too close to home for my liking.
Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, look, here's I think one thing about Shane. I mean, I would absolutely love to get like Dable's like might be my number one head coach right now.
Same here.
And also, the thing is, I think like you'd be surprised. A lot of general managers like when they're choosing their team, they really value, well, actually not surprised, but they really value their head coach. And I mean, who knows? But I would think that they have a pretty good relationship, both being on the Bills. And I just think maybe if the Giants told Shane that they would bring in Dable as the head coach if he came, then and like they talked to Dable and made sure he was fine with it, then they would kind of just bring them together, and that might convince both of
Yeah.
them. Like that could be the thing that convinces both Shane and Dable, which is
Well,
interesting. So
I think that's a big sticking point in what's going on. If I'm gonna, joking aside, just give what my actual opinion on this is,
Shout out to
I
Vibes
think,
in the chat, yo. Definitely go check out Vibes on
hey, what's
Twitter
up, vibes?
hey
and
Eli,
the New York Giants Revival YouTube channel over here as well.
I think if we're talking about why this is taking as long as it is, granted they are trying to be thorough, give it the process, all that good stuff. I think one thing that we may need to be talking about here is the fact that Joe Shane has said, all but to the media himself, it is pretty much confirmed that the first thing he's going to do as soon as he gets a general manager role is bring Brian Dable right along with him. And
yeah,
I think that could end up being a bit of a sticking point for Mara, just because as much as we love what he's been saying, and he's said all the right things, I want a general manager who's going to be the boss, he's going to run things, he's going to make all the decisions. I think John Mara is the kind of guy who likes to feel in charge. He likes to feel like he's making the calls, he's making the decisions, and he doesn't want to be able to outright tell a guy, okay, if I hire you, I will let you pick your own head coach. Because that is something that he always wants to sign off on. You can't tell me that Joe Judge wasn't his decision, because it was. So I think that may end up being an unfortunate sticking point for us.
I mean that's what the past has shown. Let's just hope that he's learned from his mistakes the past few times we've hired people, and he learns. Okay, let's just let whoever we hire as this general manager let them choose their options. Don't force them around. Trust if you're hiring here's the thing, if you're hiring a general manager, I mean you should be able to have trust in them. Like that's the point of hiring them. You're supposed to have trust in them and what they do.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully he learned. I'm just hoping he learned from mistakes last time and hires and lets like the general manager, lets him make the decisions, lets him choose if he wants to keep Daniel Jones, if he wants to keep Barkley, if he wants who he wants as head coach, who he wants it as our scouts and everything. Like hopefully he lets him do it.
I
History
mean,
shows not, but who
yeah.
knows? I mean, we don't really see behind the scenes.
Also with Sean, right? Or Shane, whatever. I'm gonna call him Shine.
I've been doing the same thing
Oh my
all
god.
day.
I first started calling him Schoen, and then
Same.
I've heard that it's like, so I was like, I wonder how it's actually pronounced. So I searched up like, I don't know if you guys have seen the video yet of Shane at like the like it was like some Bills video. It's from the Buffalo Bills YouTube channel, and he's like scouting at some college or something.
Yeah.
And he calls himself Joe Shane, so I'm like, oh, and I just keep on forgetting to switch to it. But
I have been doing that so constantly. It bothers me. But yeah, I think one of the things that's most attractive to me about Shane is he built up that Bills scouting department, which is
yeah,
something we need to do as an organization.
Ooh,
I
Nate, can you
yeah,
like link a couple articles so I could read up on that? Because that makes me like
I certainly can.
that just made that man up because
yeah.
my
Yeah.
favorite guy is Joe Horty's from the Ravens, but like that just up
Mhm.
Shane so much right there.
Joe Shane is so when he went to Buffalo, right? Buffalo when he went there, the scouting department needed a lot of change, just like ours does. And Joe Schoen has been responsible for a lot of that. So I think when you're looking at him, the big thing I hope is that if there's one thing he brings along with him from Buffalo, it's not Brian Daboll, as great as that would be. I hope he brings along good scouting. That's
in
what I
addition to
want.
that, it was either the last call-in stream or last week on Young Guns. One of you guys brought up to me that when he was, because he was with Miami before Buffalo, right? So I'm just making sure
I
I'm
don't
talking
remember.
about.
Yes, I
Yeah.
believe so.
Yeah, so I am talking about Joe right here. He has one specific analytics guy that he was with in Miami, and
Right,
he took
yes,
him
I
from
remember that.
Miami to Buffalo.
Oh, I heard
I
about
remember
that.
that.
So I
I
hope he
remember
brings that analytics guy to the Giants as well if he comes over here.
And so one other thing, I'm gonna just take this opportunity as we're deep in the Shane Daboll discussion here to give my take and let you guys respond as you will. And the chat can flame me and say whatever the hell they want. I'll never care any more than I ever do. If we do hire Joe Schoen and he brings Brian Daboll with him, and hopefully Brian Daboll brings Ken Dorsey with him, or failing that, we bring in Pep Hamilton, which would be ideal for me, I am in to draft Malik Willis at number 7 overall.
Number 7, huh?
Number
7 overall.
Number
Begin,
7.
please
Wow.
go in on me. I'm ready
No,
to hear it.
I don't want. I'm not gonna go in on you or anything like that. My thing is, didn't Pep Hamilton say he's staying in Houston?
He
or
didn't
like,
say it. The rumor is that he's probably going to stay in Houston, which broke my heart.
yeah.
But I'm saying in this situation, that's why I said Ken Dorsey or ideally Pep Hamilton. But Ken Dorsey has sort of been so Pep Hamilton is a little more proven in the sense that he built not only Deshaun Watson's game but also Justin Herbert's game. But Ken Dorsey is reportedly responsible for everything Josh Allen's become, which is just as
real
big
quick.
of a success.
Peace out to you, Raj. What's up, man? Thank you for going. Pep Hamilton not only worked with Herbert. You said Josh Allen. There was another quarterback he worked with too. Let me pull that up real quick. Like
It was
Deshaun
Deshaun Watson
Watson.
and then Davis Mills as well.
Okay.
Oh yeah, and he wasn't actually bad this year.
Davis Mills played decent football.
Exactly, he was decent. But like, okay, here's my thing though, and I actually don't mind it that much. But like, don't you got like what do you
Oh,
think about
Andrew
the
Luck.
offensive
That was the
linemen?
guy he worked with before, back when Luck was actually in the league with the Colts.
Oh,
I
really?
didn't even hear about that
I didn't
one.
even know that.
Yeah, because he was the OC of the Colts from 2013
Oh
to
my God.
2015.
It just
I would love him.
keeps
Oh my
getting
God.
better.
So yeah, there you go.
But anyway, I just don't know. Like, obviously you can draft a offensive lineman in the first round
Mm-hmm.
because we have 2 first-round picks. But I don't know. I just don't know if our offensive line be ready for a guy like Malik Willis, who's just like he's just one of the more. He's just one of the less, I feel like, pro-ready quarterbacks in the draft. He
Real
has a lot of
quick,
potential.
I'm sorry, Bane, but like the whole situation with Pep and Andrew just got better. Reading a little bit more, so
Mhm.
in 2010, he was the wide receivers coach for Stanford. From 2011 to 2012, with Andrew Luck there as the quarterback, he was the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. And then right as Andrew Luck went to the Colts, he went to the Colts to be the offensive coordinator as well.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
ain't that something?
I mean, that guy is, I don't know why
Yeah.
he's not a more talked about name. I don't know why he was only the passing game coordinator for crying out loud with the Texans or just a quarterbacks coach, because that's an impressive resume, just like to start off right there.
I'll say this. I think Pep Hamilton is a guy that maybe not as highly publicized, because really the only names that get a ton of hype are head coaches and general managers. But behind the scenes, he's certainly well known. I'll tell you that for sure. And Benny, you were saying something about Malik Willis. Please
Yeah,
continue.
go ahead, man. Yeah.
I just don't know what would your plan be with the offensive line, because I really want to get this offensive line nailed down.
That is an excellent question. So if I can just let me put it this way, the big thing for me about this offensive line is, and shout out to Authentic because he was in here earlier and he shifted my perspective a little bit on this. Looking at almost any great teams in the league, how many first rounders do you see on those lines?
Yeah,
Maybe 1 or 2.
I agree.
You
yeah.
don't need to build an offensive line of high value picks. You need to build an offensive line with A, good coaching, and B, the ability to scout players well and draft them not necessarily in the first round or the second round. And I think it's easy to say, oh my God, we'll never be able to do that. Our scouting's so bad. I think the entire point is that we're bringing in these guys to change that. And
Yeah.
if you're gonna draft from the perspective that you don't think you can find those players, you're drafting to lose. You're drafting with the mentality that you suck at your job. So I guess in terms of Malik Willis, I totally agree. He is a boom or bust player all the way. He's a guy that, like you said, is not necessarily pro ready from day one. I 110% agree with that. And I'll preface this. I should have said this before. The only way I'm willing to draft him at all, much less at 7, is if we get Brian Daboll. Because I think that when you look at Brian Daboll and you look at Ken Dorsey and what they did over there, they took Josh Allen, who was the same sort of situation, and took him over the course of a couple of years from a raw, talented guy who needed so much work, was incredibly inconsistent, had massive flaws, to a guy who just took Bill Belichick's top 5 defense out behind the woodshed and embarrassed them for the most dominant offensive game ever. So I think when you look at Malik Willis, you see a guy that maybe he's got bigger bust potential than most NFL draft prospects, but he's also got more talent than almost any NFL draft prospect. I'll say this, Malik Willis, he has more talent than any of the quarterbacks in last year's draft. I will say that with no shame. He's certainly got a much higher bust potential than any of them, but Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, even Trevor Lawrence, they don't have the same talent he does. He has a rocket for an arm, and he has wide receiver type speed. A lot of people are going to say the numbers weren't good, the stats weren't good, he's a runner first and a passer second. You also have to remember, he's playing at Liberty. There are no NFL draft prospects on Liberty's team at all. He's playing with nothing around him, and running is usually his best option. So I think with Brian Daboll and whoever they bring in for offensive coordinator, that's going to be a really intriguing option.
So, okay, Benny, go ahead. You sounds like you had something to say right there.
One thing, just this one thing, is that what are your thoughts on Pickett and Corral? How do they compare?
Real quick before you answer that, because I do have a thought to say to Nate's first point about drafting and developing an offensive line, which I absolutely agree with. And Nate brought up a great point, which is that we should be having changes in the scouting department. We should be having changes just in that entire front office in general. And I really want to see, like, I want to hear about them. Hold on. What's up?
I'm sorry. Instaman, you did not just say that. I don't believe I just read that in chat. I don't believe that's a thing I just read.
You just
explained Daniel Jones. I don't think that's a thing I just read. My eyes are deceiving me. I'm blind. Please continue, Kush.
I'm so confused about what just happened, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. Explain it to me like I'm 5.
He said, you just explained Daniel Jones. I don't understand how you can possibly think that Daniel Jones has that much talent. I love the guy. I have been a Daniel Jones supporter for longer than just about anybody. But you cannot sit there and tell me objectively that you think he has as much talent as a kid like Malik Willis.
And so that, I'm going to just continue with my point. I'm going to stay out of that one. And I'm going to say, so I agree with Nate on that scouting part. I want to see, I want to get confirmation that there are going to be sweeping changes in the scouting department, right? I want somebody else other than Chris Pettit. The only reason I'm listening to Chris Pettit is because the only name I know in there is the only guy they put on the Giants YouTube channel like every single year when they do a Giants Life thing, you know, their version of Hard Knocks. That's honestly low-key kind of boring, but we ain't got nothing else to watch, so I watch it anyway. So I want to see those changes, and the sooner those changes happen, the more I'm on board with you, Nate. But until they happen, I'm definitely just like, you know what?
I understand.
Offensive line all day. And as soon as they happen, I'm like, bet. Guess what? I'm going to put all my confidence in them. Me and Nate, we have spoken about this on stream before. As soon as it happens, put my confidence in them. You guys better know how to draft offensive linemen. You better know how to use your 3rd and 4th round picks. One of the reasons I
totally get that.
I love Hordes from the Ravens so much is because I saw that tweet that showed how many picks the Ravens accumulate throughout the 3rd and 4th round over the past 4 years. And like, that's where they're building their depth of their team. That's why when they had so many running backs go down, yes, their running game wasn't as good as it was. It wasn't the best in the league, but it was better than ours. It was middle of the pack. And they had
Yeah.
like 3 running backs go down on them in a row because they got their depth in the 3rd and 4th round. So whoever the GM is, whoever scouting department is, I want to see similar, if not the same things from them. Silo Ren, and then I'm gonna let you go, Benny, with your question. He says, Subhub and the rest of the group, so glad they're not rushing to hire a new GM without doing their due diligence, especially that other teams are desperate to hire GMs and coaches. I think it's about 8 teams, right? It's around 8 teams in the NFL.
It's a good amount.
It's a really good amount. And then Ian Bryan's, go ahead.
Yeah, and Benny, I promise I haven't forgotten about your question, but I do want to respond to Kush there. I 100% agree with that. That's totally logical. I get where you're coming from. I don't want it to be misunderstood. I am very, very okay with taking offensive line at 5 and 7. I am very, very okay with that. I don't think you'll find anyone that will be upset with having Evan Neal and Tyler Linderbaum on their offensive lines. If you do, you found an idiot. So don't take that as me not wanting to draft offensive line high. I just look at what Malik Willis could be with Brian Daboll's offense and Ken Dorsey teaching him up, and I think that could be spectacular. But please continue.
Yeah, and I was just gonna read out Brian's comment here. He says, let's say the Giants hire the Bills GM and he brings Brian Daboll to our head coach. Who do you think will be his DC and OC? So let me go to Benny to get that, and then Benny, you'll ask your question, and Nate was the one who that question was directed to. But go ahead, man. Who do you think could be the potential defensive and offensive coordinator? Because we've heard Nate talk about, he mentioned Ken Dorsey just now. We've heard Nate talk about Pep Hamilton as well. Do you have any ideas?
Defensive coordinator, that's interesting. I don't know. I mean, I could also see it being for somebody from Buffalo. I don't know. If we get Dable, where has he been besides Buffalo? Has he been anywhere else?
Brian Daboll?
You know?
He came from Alabama.
That's interesting. I mean, I don't have an exact idea. Somebody I would love is Brian Flores, but I don't know.
Right before the Bills, he was with Alabama in 2017. Then before that, he was with the Patriots. Before that, he was with the Chiefs. Before that, he was with the Dolphins, Browns, Jets, Patriots again. So he has ties to the Patriots, Jets, Browns, Dolphins, Chiefs. Yeah, those are the other teams in the NFL.
I mean, I would love Brian Flores. I don't think that's gonna happen. I could see it being I always blank out his name. The guy from the Broncos, the head coach. I would love him as our defensive coordinator. He got fired, but he's really good defensive mind right there.
Vic Fangio?
I don't know. Yeah, Fangio.
Agreed.
I don't know. What do you guys think about Zimmer? Would he be a good defensive coordinator? I mean, I don't know if he would want to come.
He would be, but I was gonna say the same thing for Fangio. Are they gonna take that step down?
Exactly.
Well,
I don't know if they will.
it's not even that for me. I would not be surprised at all if both of them take a step down, only to immediately go back up in a couple of years. But man, first off, Vic Fangio would probably be my number one choice. But with Mike Zimmer, I would have totally been on board with that until I heard what players were saying. Apparently, the big complaint they had. I'm sorry?
I was just like, please enlighten us on it.
Yeah. Apparently, the big complaint from the locker room was that he wasn't coaching to win, he was coaching not to lose, which is literally everything I hate. I hate
Joe
it
Zimmer?
so much.
Mike
I
Judge?
hate it so much.
But at least I was just gonna say, at least he won't be in the head coaching position doing that. I don't know.
No, but still, my philosophy in general, I always say, in football, there's 2 sides to everything. There's the analytics side, the numbers, the statistics, and then there's the classic coaching strategy side, which is X's and O's, players on the field, coaching on the sideline. What I'm about to say comes from neither. This is my own personal feeling. This is just my own belief, my gut. You can say whatever you want. Don't take this as anything except my opinion. I think the best way forward in any NFL situation is the most aggressive way. 90% of the time, and don't take this as me saying the stupid way, you should always make the smart decision, but when you're between an aggressive choice and a conservative choice, I think the aggressive choice is always the right way to go. Because when you're talking about the way the NFL has moved and the way statistics look at 4th down, the way a lot of these coaches are making success in the league, look at Bill Belichick. He has made a name for his defense with some of the most aggressive, innovative defensive concepts the NFL ever saw. Look at one big thing from that Niners-Cowboys game, and I'm going on a bit of a tangent here. The Niners-Cowboys game, one thing that doesn't get talked about because it was overshadowed by the rest of the end of that game, was the Cowboys' possession before their last possession. They had 4th and 11 in the Niners' territory. And on 4th and 11, with a fully healthy Cowboys offense on the field, the Niners' defensive coordinator called a zero blitz. That was the gutsiest move ever, and it got executed perfectly. They nailed the Cowboys' tendencies, and they got the ball back. That's how I think coaching is meant to be done in the NFL. And if Zimmer is going to coach not to lose instead of coaching to win, I don't know if I can get on board with that. But I am way, way off topic. So you guys please get the stream back
Not
where it needs to
necessarily
go.
off topic, because as soon as you said that, you heard what I said, man. I don't want Mike Judge. Hopefully, that changes. Hopefully he's like, hey, maybe this is why I got fired. I got to change the way, I was doing things. I mean, look at the change Dan Quinn, or not change, but, Dan Quinn going from head coach to DC. He did a pretty damn good job.
Yeah, he did.
Over there in Dallas. But Benny, I'm going to ask you to restate the question you asked earlier, because we do got a couple more people in here, guys. Make sure you check out Benny. Make sure you check out Nate's channel. Go ahead, ask that question again, man.
Oh, it was just like, I understand that you think Willis has more potential in them, but like Pickett and Corral, they seem to be pretty good for me. Like, what do you think about them? Because there's a good chance they'll both be on the board there.
Yeah. I will say this, and again, I never want people to think that I don't care about their opinions, but if you're gonna give me your opinion, that's one thing. If you're gonna just yell at me, that's another. So I don't really care what you think. And that's not directed to anyone of you guys. That's directed to people in general. I wouldn't draft Kenny Pickett or Matt Corral at all in any situation. I don't think they're worth drafting, and I'll say why. I don't think either of them, and statistically, just about every draft class has a quarterback that works out, at least one, and it could be one of either of them. But I don't think either of them present enough upside or enough potential, as you put it there, Benny. I don't think either of them present enough to get over the fact that they both come from really, really strong situations in college. Matt Corral was at a Lane Kiffin offense. Kenny Pickett was playing with the best Pitt team they've had in years. And then they both have major, major flaws. And I don't think either of them are anything special in any way. They both have a lot of all the rookie flaws that you see coming into the draft, and nothing particularly strong about either of them. They both have decent arms, nothing spectacular there. They're both decently mobile. They're not really fast for the NFL. And I see both of them as guys that could be decent, but won't be anything special. And I look at that, and I see how the NFL's been going. I think if you're going to try and draft a quarterback, you need to see that guy being special. That's just how the NFL is trending. And again, Authentic said something else that I think is a big fact. All the best teams in the league that are succeeding in the playoffs and that are getting deep and that are making Super Bowls are the ones with the best quarterbacks. You can say there needs to be a situation around it, and that's totally facts. But at the end of the day, if you don't have a really, really good quarterback, your chances are instantly way lower than everybody else's who does. So I think a guy like Kenny Pickett, a guy like Matt Corral, I'm just not interested. Kush?
So for me, you guys already know my general thoughts on it. I do think this quarterback class in general is weaker than everybody else's. I do have Malik Willis at the top, though. And kind of like Nate, I have like Matt Corral and Kenny Pickett as like second, almost like third round prospects. Maybe the third round is a bit too harsh on them. But I don't really see the need for any team to be drafting them in the first round. Malik Willis, and this is something I've noticed, just talking about like trends I've noticed throughout every draft time that I've like really done research on and stuff like that. The players who you know about from before like the draft season even starts, and they still carry some of that notoriety into the draft season, there's a good reason for that. It's usually because they're towards the top of their class at their position, or, they are at the top of their class towards the position, if not, one of the top, right? Malik Willis matches that frame, or that category, I should say as well. We've been hearing about this dude since before, like, the NFL regular season started. We've been hearing about it. Said reconnecting, and it says live again now.
Back.
Okay,
It's
so
back.
it's back, right? So I'm just going to restate what I stated. We've been hearing about him since before the NFL season started. We've been hearing about him since essentially around the summertime. We've been hearing about him from a long, long time. And I agree with Nate as well. I see more from Malik than I do from Kenny and from Matt Corral. And it does have a bit to do with the small school aspect of it as well. I know that where's Kenny Pickett from Pitt? I know that's technically a small school as well when you compare it to Ole
Not
Miss.
really.
Is it not really? Like, it's not
It's
as small.
ACC.
Okay, I don't know college conferences like that. I'm gonna put that out
They're
there.
Power 5, man. Unless I'm out of my mind right now.
Regardless, I think my point stands when I say that Malik is playing with way less talent than the guys that are at Pitt and
Yeah,
at
ACC.
and the guy at
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss, right? That has a role to play with it and well. But you just look at Malik Willis and you just see some things. You see that he has a high ceiling. You could see this guy exploding onto the scene at the NFL level. I personally think it wouldn't be with the Giants. I think if he goes to a team like the Steelers, that could, has that
Oh, if he
mid
goes
first
to the
round pick.
Steelers.
Yeah, or a team like the Saints or something like that, another team that has a mid first round pick. I think that's the best situation for him because at the end of the day, once again, I still think the overall class is weak, but the best guy in there is Malik, and I think his best shot with any team is going to be in those mid to late selection in the first round rather than the 7th overall pick with the Giants. That's just me though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you guys are saying, but yeah, I mean, we still gotta wait to see who they hire for staff, and if they
Sure,
hire the
sure.
right staff members, then that's when I'll talk about it. But until then, like, I'm gonna be off the quarterback train.
Yeah, and I
But
absolutely agree with that. And by the way, just because I've sort of been operating under the assumption that we bring in Dable, if we don't, I want to be clear, if we don't bring in Dable, I don't want any of these quarterbacks, Malik Willis included. If we don't bring in Dable, if we bring in someone else with, let's say, less of a QB developmental stance, I don't want to touch any of these quarterbacks. So
Yeah.
just to be clear, all of that depends on bringing in Dable. But Benny, please continue.
yeah, I
Benny,
mean,
I'm gonna say real quick, my bad. I don't mean to cut you off. Let me get your last thought because I got CJ in the back. He's been waiting for about 15 minutes now.
All right. This will be my last thought. But I will say, Nate, I've been thinking about, like, that's been a big thought of mine for a while. The thing you were just talking about, where you just have to have
Yeah.
a top quarterback, because, like, in my opinion, it's like at a certain point. I mean, obviously, it's great to make, maybe you don't make the playoffs for a few years and you make it, and it's good. But at a certain point, like, you gotta win a Super Bowl,
Yep.
and it's very hard to win a Super Bowl without a top quarterback like that. That
Just
just
ask
worries
the
me.
Niners.
That just worries me about a lot of these teams in the NFL right now that we think can make the playoffs and stuff. I'm like, look, right now, I'll be honest. I think Derek Carr is a really good quarterback, but at the same time, do I really think he's gonna win a Super Bowl? I just don't see it happening. Like, I like Derek
Yeah.
Carr as a quarterback, but unless he gets a really good or like a really really good surrounding, I don't know if he wins. I just don't know if he can win a Super Bowl. I don't know if he could lead his team like that unless he gets like a really really good supporting cast, which is not easy in the NFL. So
That's an
this is
interesting
just something.
thought.
It's just something interesting. You can look at a lot of the teams like that are in playoffs or just in contention, and like it just worries me like for the Eagles fans out there. I don't know. I mean, I still don't think we've seen the full Jalen Hurts yet, but like just his fact that he's like kind of when they make him throw, he kind of struggles sometimes.
Yeah.
I think that is something to worry about that a lot of people are just like kind of like brushing off, but could
And
hurt
yeah,
you like but when you're like 4 years into the rebuild build and all, and you're like make the playoffs for like 3 straight years, but you just can't make it past the first round or the second round. That's when it like gets really frustrating. Like, oh wait,
yeah,
our quarterback can't even take us anywhere.
absolutely. And if we're going to talk about Jalen Hurts, let's talk about Jalen Hurts because this is something that a lot of fans are. I never want to talk like it's absolutes because it's not. I'm just a fan. What do I know? All that stuff. A lot of fans are wrong. A lot of fans are wrong about Jalen Hurts. And I will say this. I'll preface this. Right now, yeah, he sucks as a passer. He does. There is no other way to put it. He sucks. He is a bad passer. From a quarterback standpoint, he is half of a quarterback. That is what he is right now. But if you think that Jalen Hurts is the reason that the Eagles aren't winning a Super Bowl right now, or the reason
no,
that the Eagles lost to the Bucks, you're objectively wrong. And if you think that Jalen Hurts cannot, and I'm not saying will, but if you think that he cannot become a better passer, you have not paid attention in NFL history. You can't tell me that Jalen Hurts is not a talented guy. And I'll say another thing. Jalen Hurts has been the source of almost everything positive that's happened with the Eagles in recent memory. I mean, for the last couple of years, since Wentz fell off a cliff, that team has only looked even okay with Jalen Hurts doing things. He has been the source of all their energy, all of their heart. Everything they've done well has run through him. So if you're looking at Jalen Hurts, there is a very real possibility that he develops as a passer and he becomes a really, really good franchise quarterback. I mean, Hub, tell me he doesn't fit the exact mold of every great Eagles quarterback ever. Ever.
What's his name? Donovan McNabb, man.
Donovan McNabb, you're talking about Randall Cunningham, you're talking about Mike Vick when he was there. You're talking about all of these guys scrambling, running quarterbacks that also have good arm talent, And it's not their primary skill set, but after a few years, it gets developed. And that's what I think Jalen Hurts could be. Not that he will be, but I think it could be. And I pray that Howie Roseman is stupid enough to do what a lot of these fans are talking about and move on early. Because I think that's dodging a bullet for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say one last thing. The thing is, they got 3 first-round picks coming up, and if they nail these picks, they can be before you know it, Super Bowl contention type roster. And
I completely agree with that.
I'm worried. I'm scared.
These 3 first-round picks could go a great way for the Eagles, man.
I mean, they're already a playoff team, and they have a lot of still even young pieces on the team. They have a lot of cap space to clear pretty easily. I mean, I'm scared.
Yeah, I'll say this though. We also need to remember the Eagles are not a playoff team in the sense that they had a strong season and made the playoff off the back of that. They had so many cupcake games on that schedule. They didn't beat a single playoff team all year.
Yeah, they didn't even beat a playoff team, but still, the roster could be really good in a year.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that.
All right, but thanks for having me on, Hub.
Yeah, man, guys, make sure you go ahead, you check out Benny, Football Talk with Benny. Have a good one,
Good
man.
to talk to you, Benny.
Good to see you guys.
Next up, CJ, what's up, man? How you doing?
How are you guys doing?
We good.
Doing great.
Awesome. Quick question. I know both Poles as well as Joe Schoen are our 2 finalists as far as GM's coaching goes.
Mm-hmm.
Among the 9 guys that we have interviewed the past weekend, top 5 favorite executives, and give me your best case scenario as far as which coach we hire, assuming we hire this particular top 5.
Coach, I've been talking a lot. You want to take this first?
So my top 5. So at number 1, I still got Joe Hordes. I think if he comes, there's been a lot of You're gonna notice one thing. I'm gonna say whatever team they're associated with, I'm gonna take a coach from that team. I feel like it's the only safe assumption I can make. So if Joe Hordes comes to us, he's from the Ravens. Don Wink Martindale was somebody I wanted the Giants to hire back in 2020. I'm not surprised if he's possibly gonna be in some interviews this hiring season as well. If he is, I'm gonna say Joe brings him to the Giants with him. Number 2, I got Joe Schoen, which, by the way, weird way to spell the name Shane. Those of you that don't know, one of my other names is Shane. Y'all know me by Kush. One of my other names is Shane, and it's spelled the correct way, Shane, not Schoen, whatever that is.
Okay.
Joe Schoen. If Shane comes to the Giants, he's gonna bring Brian Daboll. Number 3, Adam Peters. Now, I was never gonna say Mike McDaniel. I want to say Mike McDaniel so badly. But I'll be honest with y'all, until this past week, I haven't heard that name talked about in any type of hiring situation
my
at
take
all.
with Mike McDaniel is not trendy.
I'm like, yo, listen, he's only been an offense coordinator there for 1 year. Maybe he is that guy, but I'm gonna play it safe.
For like 15 years though.
I'm gonna play it safe and say that I'm gonna not take a chance on Mike McDaniel. But if Adam Peters comes here, I don't know who would be a coach that he comes here with. I'm gonna say an unpopular opinion. If Adam Peters comes here, what if he brings a Matt Nagy to us from the Bears?
Oh no,
Right?
Coach.
I wouldn't hate that, but it's not.
I would.
Not my first option.
But I'm trying to think of other head coaching. Like, who are head coaching candidates? Let me look this up real quick.
If you say Jim Harbaugh's name, I'm leaving this stream.
Jim Harbaugh with Adam Peters would be amazing, and he did actually
I didn't
did.
mean to ask ask Nate about this, but what is his issue with Jim Harbaugh?
I think he just doesn't like him. Honestly, I think that's what it is. But
Okay.
Adam Peters, I'm trying to think of a name. No name is coming to mind. I got the perfect name for Adam Peters to come with.
Sorry, I thought that would be faster than it was.
I got the perfect name for
That's my
Adam
bad.
Peters to come along with. Doug Peterson. All right, there we go.
Oh my God! I just got back and you're making me want to leave again.
At number 4, we got
kill
Ryan
me, Kush.
Poles, bro. If Ryan Poles come to us, I'm gonna say he brings Eric Bieniemy. All right, and then at number 5, we got Adrian Wilson from the Cardinals. If Adrian Wilson comes to us, I'm looking through once again. I'm just gonna choose somebody from this head coaching candidate list I'm looking at because I'm not sure if he's actually gonna bring anybody from the Cardinals
Probably
with
not.
him. So I'm gonna say a possible somebody to look at, Byron Leftwich, I guess, from the Buccaneers. So yeah, that's where you go. Go ahead, Nate.
All right. I like your list. I do. I like your list of general managers. I hate a few of the coaches.
There was
but
only
we're not
two.
going to spend too
There
much
was
time
only
on
one
that.
of them that you didn't like, man. It was Doug.
And right, you said Jim Harbaugh's a joke, whatever. Anyway, I will say I definitely have Joe Schoen and Brian Dable as my combination number 1. I've spoken about that. I love them. I think they are exactly what this team needs. Number 2, I'll probably have Joe Ortiz. And I think I'm going to switch that up a little bit on your coaching decision there. As much as I like Don Martindale, I think this is a situation, and there's a big factor here that's in the way that I'll talk about in a minute. But I think the ideal here, if we do end up with Joe Ortiz, is that's the situation where we bring in Brian Flores, and he tries to take the Texans quarterback of the past, Deshaun Watson, with him. That's a great situation because if there's one thing the Ravens organization has shown, they know how to build around a mobile quarterback. So that's something I'd like to see. And then, again, I'll talk about the roadblock there in a minute, which is the elephant in the room. And then for number 3, I will put Ryan Poles. I think it's difficult to argue with his resume. The dude has accomplished a lot in KC. And I really, really have a hard time with Eric Bieniemy. And I know it's really unfortunate that he's sort of become the poster child for African-American coaches having a difficult time in the league getting jobs. And I will say this, nothing about it is because of that. Eric Bieniemy to me is a boomer bust coach. I think when you're looking at him, it's just so difficult to distinguish what he's brought to KC's offense from what Andy Reid has done for that team. And the fact that they're so talented, the fact that they have all that, is difficult for me to say what Eric Bieniemy is going to bring to the table. And I'll say this, Eric Bieniemy is going to go somewhere, and he will get a job. He's going to. He's going to be a head coach. And either he's going to be a fantastic head coach, and it's going to be Chiefs Part 2, and they're going to be one more juggernaut in the NFL, or it's going to be really, really, really ugly. And I think that's a lottery ticket that some franchises are going to be comfortable buying. I personally, after the 10 years we've had of suckage with this team, I'm ready for somebody that I know has done things, that I know is responsible for a lot. And I see Brian Dable. It sure as hell ain't Sean McDermott's offense. We know that for a fact. He's not the one developing Josh Allen, you know? So I think that's a surer bet there. But Eric Bieniemy is definitely a podium shout there as a head coach GM combo coming in at 3rd place. For number 4, I think I'll say a different name than you said. I'm not going to say his name correctly at all. Austin Fort, Monty Austin.
Yeah, you said it
Fort,
right. Yeah,
the
Austin
Titans
Fort,
guy.
yeah.
However you pronounce it. What I like about what the Titans have done is they have done something the Giants have failed to do for a long time. They have an identity. If you look at this Giants team, we have had no identity. The Titans have sure as hell established one for themselves. And I like that. I think that's something that's worthy of an opportunity. I think that's definitely something we should be looking at. And then for a head coach, I have no idea who's associated with that. I'm not going to pretend that I do, so I'm not even going to give a name. And then same deal with number 5. I'm not trying to talk out of my ass here. I'm not going to pretend that I have some insider information on who else could be a good candidate. So I'll just pair up Austin Fort with Brian Dable again because I love the guy. and then also I'll do the same thing with the Cardinals candidate as well. So that'll be my top 5. CJ, I can tell you have some thoughts. Hit me with it, my man.
Yeah, it's funny because if you had asked me this just this past weekend, Shane and Dable was my number one coach and GM hiring from the get-go.
Mm.
I love what Joe Shane has been able to do in his past 5 years in Buffalo. The fact that you mentioned it just now with Tennessee. The number one thing that Buffalo has been able to do as far as their turnaround goes is an identity.
Mm-hmm.
This team, it's easy to fall in love with Brian Daboll's play calling, Josh Allen's talent, the amount of playmakers that they have on both sides of the ball. The one thing that I love most about Buffalo, and it's been that way since Sean McDermott has been there, they are probably the most physical football team I've seen in years.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that they build, their offensive and defensive lines just in the last 2 years has been nothing short of remarkable.
Absolutely.
Buffalo, and the fact that, and this is what over the last few years, other than not having an identity, the thing that has pissed me off more about the way we've conducted ourselves throughout the draft and free agency the last few years. Rarely do the Giants have a clear bullet point weakness. They rarely attack it. Buffalo, prior to this past offseason, what was their number one issue? Pass rush. You have a brilliant defensive mind in Sean McDermott. Yeah. Prior to this year, they were like near the bottom or league average in terms of pass rush. Last two off seasons, last two drafts, heavily invested as far as their defensive line, as well as getting a gem that all three of us did not win in the first round last year. Gregory Rousseau.
Okay. I would not call him a gem.
They have gotten the best out of him, probably more so than any other front office could have. So, however, this past weekend, I'm not going to lie, Peters is starting to grow on me. He's probably my 1B as far as GM hires. He's been with the 49ers. I want to say ever since John Lynch has gotten there, they built just much like Buffalo, a perfect physicality mentality. And you talk about how, in order to get to the next level, you gotta have that superstar at quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Let me throw this gem at. Let's just say that, assuming Peters and McDaniel, I would assume, gets head coach and GM jobs elsewhere, and the 49ers take Kyle Shanahan's and Mike Shanahan's system, and they enable Trey Lance to becoming a superstar quarterback. Isn't that another feather in the cap for the 49ers? The fact that Trey Lance was not projected to be this superstar level quarterback.
I mean, he was pretty highly rated.
He was high, but by most scouts, he was the third or fourth quarterback projected in last year's draft.
Yeah, but in last year's draft, that's not like a normal draft. There were 5 really highly rated quarterbacks in last year's draft.
Yes, but again, the reason. Excuse me.
No, I totally get what you're saying. I'm just saying it's not like Trey Lance was a 5th rounder,
No, absolutely not. But again, as far, excuse me, I can't talk today.
We all been there.
My next question was was mainly directed at you, Nate.
Sure.
Uh, I think it's safe to say that all three that most Giants fans within the community, what we want is two offensive linemen in the first round, correct?
A fair amount, yeah.
If we're up to you, I think Cushman may have given you the scenario the last time I was on. Both edge rushers are gone.
Mm-hmm.
Evan Neal is off the board at 5.
Mm-hmm.
You're sitting there at 5 and 7. If you are taking two offensive linemen in this draft, would you be more comfortable trading down or sticking to where you are at 5 and 7? And if so, what two are you targeting? What two are you selecting?
That's a great question. And the first thing I'll say is I'm absolutely looking to trade down in this draft. We have the 5 and the 7. And at this point, there are so many really, really talented, excellent linemen in this draft that we can afford to let a couple pass us by and still be able to get a couple of really, really highly, highly talented, polished linemen. So I think one of those two picks, 5 or 7, should stay where it is, and we can take the best offensive lineman on the board. And then another one we can use to trade back into the early, late teens, in that sort of range. And I'll say, first scenario, if we don't trade and Evan Neal's off the board, Ika Mekwonu, definitely. He already has an argument to be the first tackle off the board. Personally, I like Neal better, but there's a fair argument that he is. And then it's hard not to say Linderbaum. Tyler Linderbaum is an absolute monster. The guy he may be, I guess, slightly undersized, and he may not be a gap scheme center, but personally, I think the NFL is evolving past traditional gap scheme runs anyway. So I think if we're looking to run zone and we can get an athletic marvel in the run game like Ika Mekwonu, and then we can get Andrew Thomas on the other side, I would love to have Tyler Linderbaum. So those are two names that I'm definitely looking at. And then if we are trading back, let's imagine that we trade back and we trade our 5, and then at 5 or 6, Ika Mekwonu goes off the board. So at 7, I'll probably look to take Linderbaum there. And then if I don't know, I'm just going to make up a number here. If we're at pick 14, I'll look to take a guy like Charles Cross, who is another really, really good right tackle.
Yeah, I could going into, because we're now heading towards mock draft territory.
Oh, we're in mock draft territory.
I was studying some offensive linemen prospects between the rounds between the picks of like 5 and 12, and much like you, is it Ecom or Icom?
Ecom.
Ecom and Lindenbaum are outside of Near are easily my top 2 offensive lineman prospects. And the way I look at it, and the way I'm looking at it is such: best case scenario, you finally solidify your two bookends.
Mm-hmm.
And you get probably the best center prospect
in a while.
In a good while. I mean, Creed Humphrey was by far and away my number 1 center last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I may actually like Linderbaum just a tad bit more.
Same. I'm right there with you.
So, even worst case scenario, assuming Ecom doesn't work out at tackle, you could probably solidify your left side for the next decade with Thomas, Ecom, and Lindenbaum as your center guard tackle trio.
Absolutely.
And last question before I head out.
This will be the last question tonight, actually. Yeah, we're going to end the stream right after this.
Oh,
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Assuming, let's just say that Peters and Mike McDaniel does wind up being
Ooh. Keep going.
because McDaniel is projected to be projected from what I've heard, he's looked at to be potentially the next Mike LaFleur. Assuming they are our GM and coach for next year, does Jimmy Garoppolo become a realistic target for us?
Well,
I would really hope not.
First off, I don't want Jimmy Garoppolo, but I'll say I think even if Adam Peters and Mike McDaniel don't end up being our guys, I still think it's possible that a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo, maybe not him specifically, but certainly possibly Jimmy Garoppolo, ends up being a target that we have as a bridge quarterback, just because it's possible that even if we hire whoever we hire, they might say, hey, I don't like any of the QBs in this class. We're going to wait till next year. We're going to bring in someone to be our for now guy, and we'll draft our guy later, you know? It's very possible we end up looking at someone like Jimmy Garoppolo, you know? Maybe a Marcus Mariota, maybe someone along those lines. So I certainly think it's a possibility.
All right. And this isn't a question for now. This is more so of when I talk to you guys in the community. Nate, what is your issue with Jim Harbaugh?
I hate him so much. I hate him so much. It's you're trying to wind me up right before this stream ends, and I'm not gonna let you. I hate him so much.
So this is what I'm gonna say. Hey, CJ, thank you for calling in, man. It's great as always talking to you, bro. Have a good one, bro.
The facial hair kush is coming through. I'm trying to get my hair curly, much like yours.
Yo,
Nate,
you don't want your hair curly like this. It's hard to take care of, man, when it's curly.
Kush, you're a role model.
I hope so.
Nate,
All right, well, good to talk to you, CJ.
Pleasure. I'll talk to you guys later.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And for sure, shout out to everybody in the chat. Let's see, Nimar, Joseph, Football Talk with Benny, Griminator was in here along with amazing guy Caden. I think I saw Rick earlier as well. Reggie James, LJ, Mike, Instaman, who made that one comment that Nate was like, "What are you talking about?" Edward Chan, everybody, thank you all for tuning in. One last question here by Nimar. He says, "What about Russell Wilson?" I give him my thought multiple times. It would take both of our first round picks and possibly more to get him, which I'm not sure if I'm willing to give up. I don't think it would be a smart move, and that's about it. But Nate, shout out to you. Thank you for calling in, or I guess just being here as the co-host as well, man. And have a good night, guys.